This is going to be my 2-year review on my 2009 C6 Corvette.
Each other's hearts, it's a cold-blooded love, it's a cold-blooded love. Helps us break each other's hearts, it's a cold-blooded love.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to a new video. If you're new, slap that subscribe button. This is going to be my 2-year review on my 2009 C6 Corvette. I did a 1-year review about a year ago. So basically this video is going to be what's changed since the last video as far as maintenance costs, running costs, etc, etc. What is good with the car, what's went wrong with the car, and where I'm going from here. So if you guys like Corvettes, stay tuned. Got a lot of stuff coming. All right, so real quick, if you're new to the channel, again, my car is a 2009 C6 Corvette. It has a stage 3 tick polluter cam, eBay headers, and a tune. That's literally it. The car dynoed 510 wheel horsepower. I'm gonna get a start up real quick so you can get a feel for the sound of it. So I'm gonna have Josh, my cameraman, come back here. I'm gonna let it idle up for a minute. So let's go ahead and get fired up here. All right, so like I said, this is a 2-year review. I bought this car on February 13th of 2017. So I've actually had a little bit over 2 years, about a year. What's today's date?
March 27th.
Had a little bit over a year and a month, going on a year and 2 months. But thus far, I've been super happy with my experience with my car. It's a ton of fun. Yes, it's had problems, nothing really that serious, but it's definitely been worth it. As far as Corvettes go, the power per dollar, it's hard to beat. In my opinion, you can't really beat it. The car, like I said, it's got a stage 3 polluter cam in it, eBay headers, and a tune. The car still runs great. For the most part, no hiccups. So if you watched the last video, the last review video, the car hasn't been perfect. Mainly it's went through a bunch of starters, I believe because of the cam. So when I go through a drive-through or something like that, it's the worst because I have to cut the car off for people to hear an order behind me, and then when I move up I got to do it again basically until I leave the drive-through line because the car's so loud. The car is straight pipe. It has no cats, no mufflers. It has eBay headers and an X pipe. That's it. Nothing else restricting it or blocking it on the way out. So it is about as loud as it can get. Alright guys, we had to pull over. One of the GoPro, the SD card's messed up. So I had to switch SD cards. We're getting back on the highway here. Alright, so I want to start off with running cost. So basically, I'm going to start off with gas. Quite frankly, it sucks on gas with a cam. At least in the city it does. In the city, honestly, I've never really tested it at the gas station, like exact. I don't think it gets no more than 12 or 15 miles a gallon in the city. It's pretty rough. Now, with that being said, on the highway, it actually does get really good. I've actually got 28 on the highway with the cam. We drove to Myrtle Beach, which is basically 200 miles from my house. I drove it to Myrtle Beach and back on the same tank of gas. I had over 400 miles on the tank. I don't know what the exact miles per gallon was, but my readout was telling me I averaged like 28 and some change, which I personally think that's pretty impressive. Given the nature of the car, it's a cam 6.2 liter pushrod V8. It doesn't have cylinder deactivation or any of that stuff. It's just 100% always. So as far as running cost goes, gas, yes, it's expensive. It's not going to be as cheap as a Prius, but combined, it's probably better than a lot of trucks, realistically. Maybe not diesel trucks, but as far as gas trucks, I'd say it's just as good, if not better than that. Tires are expensive. I run through tires a lot because I burn them more than I should. That's just the nature of the beast when it comes to rear-wheel drive sports cars. If you burn tires, they're gonna dissipate pretty quick. As far as cost goes on tires, I normally get the Hankook Ventus V12s. I can get a pair for around between $550 and $650, which is not cheap, but it's not like buying big truck tires for lifted trucks. Front tires last me a lot longer because I can't spin those, so that's good. When I buy a set for the Hankooks, normally it's between $800 and $900. Other running costs, oil changes. As far as oil changes go in the car, I typically spend around $50. It does take 6 quarts of oil. I run 1030 full synthetic. In my opinion, it really doesn't matter what brand that you use. Personally, I think it's all pretty close to the same. I use Valvoline or Mobil 1, but it really probably wouldn't matter what I used. Other than that, that pretty much sums up running costs. The bad on the car. So last video, I really don't think I had anything very detrimental. I think I had to replace the starter right when I got the car. Nothing huge. It cost me 120 bucks for the starter. I put it in myself, so you know that really wasn't bad. I also, when that happened, do keep this in mind. When that happened, I still had stock manifolds. I hadn't got my headers yet. So it is a lot easier to change your starter before you get headers, because when you get headers, at least in my case, I had to drop my passenger side header off or out to get the starter out. So it's kind of a pain because I have eBay headers and they don't really line up straight, so I have to bend them every time. There's exhaust leaks. It's not cool, but you can do it. It's not hard. It's just tedious. Not really fun. But other than the starter, the door latch goes out. If you've ever had a C6 Corvette or knows anybody who owns ones, it's probably a pain point for them, especially somebody who daily drives one like me, because I'm constantly getting in and out of my car every day. It's not a garage queen. It doesn't sit in the house all the time, or sit in the garage all the time. So what happens is the electronic door latch gives out. Personally, I wish that whoever designed the C6 Corvette would have designed it with a regular door handle or like some sort of manual cable, instead of the electronic latch that it has. It's aggravating. Whenever it goes out, you have to pop the trunk, pull the emergency lever, and then open up the door to get in. And a lot of times it sets off your alarm. It's really aggravating, but that costs about $100 to fix. Nothing crazy there. As far as major mechanical issues, I haven't had any. Right now what I'm dealing with is the traction control and ABS service active handling system. It constantly flashes at me, and the light doesn't necessarily bother me, but what's dangerous is when that light comes on, your ABS does not work, nor any of your traction control system works. Which the traction stuff really doesn't bother me. I would almost rather it be off all the time anyway, so I don't have to hold the button down when I'm trying to drift or do a burnout. But what does bother me is the ABS not working. So me and my friend Josh, which is actually riding with me now, we were driving kind of fast around some turns the other day, and I dipped on the brakes pretty hard and the front tires locked up. And ABS is something that you take for granted, but when it's gone, it really can be dangerous, especially in a car like this if you're a spirited driver. I was able to correct it though. We didn't wreck, so that's good. It's just something I have to keep an eye on. I read on forums that it could be some sort of sensor, steering sensor, something in the ECM. I'm not really sure. I haven't dove into it fully yet, but I'm going to dive into it and figure it out. So another thing, so also when the service active handling comes on, the taillights will stay on like you're on the brakes constantly. And that's kind of dangerous realistically, because nobody behind you if you're actually on the brakes or not. But again, whenever I get all this stuff figured out, that should resolve itself. Another small replacement issue, again, nothing huge. There's nothing been really detrimental going on with the car. The hood struts went out. They didn't go out, they just get worn out over time. So if I was out at meet or something and just a little bit of wind blew, if I had my hood up to show my engine off, it would fall down. And the danger part of that is, you know, if a little kid or something's looking at your engine at a car meet and just the lightest little breeze pushes it down, it can hurt somebody. So that's definitely not cool. That was a cheap fix. I got the new hood struts ordered. I think it was like 19 or 20 bucks off of Amazon, shipped, and they've been fine. I've really had no issues with those. Again, that's a cheap fix. That's almost nitpicking in a way, but it is something I had to replace. Other than that, I really don't think there's, well, yeah, it has a stock clutch in it. My car's got 100 and almost 25,000 miles on it. Stock clutch, stock slave cylinder. At my power level, 510, it's really rated higher than it should. The horsepower is higher than what the clutch is rated for by a pretty long shot. So my clutch is slowly going out. It gets worse almost every day. So by the summer, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to replace my clutch. Not really upset about it. In stock form, I really don't think you'd have that issue. As hard as I am on the car, though, at the power level that it's at, going to the drag strip, doing hard launches over and over and over again, getting the clutch hot, that stuff happens over time. Whenever you're racing, it's part of playing the game. You're going to pay for that stuff over time. I'm expecting it, so I'm not really upset about it. We'll put a twin disc or, you know, a stage clutch in it, and it should be good to go for a very long time. The final thing that's really been bad is the transmission. So first, second, third, fourth are fine. Fifth gear, if I'm easy on it, that's not Jason. Fifth gear, if I'm easy on the car, I can get it to go into fifth gear without grinding, but you really have to have a niche for it and know exactly when to do it. It's kind of a timing deal. If I'm going fast, I really can't shift into fifth fast anymore. It just doesn't happen. It's starting to grind in sixth just a little bit, not all the time. So I will probably eventually have to do a 6-speed rebuild or find an alternative in some way. I haven't really looked a whole lot into it, but I'm going to look into it and see if maybe I can fix it and prevent it from doing it again. I don't think that's the case. I have a feeling I'm going to have to replace it, but that's okay. Other than that, that's really all the bad stuff I can say about it. I can't think of anything else. So now I will start with a good on the car. Corvette is pretty much the best bang for your buck car you can get as far as performance goes. I picked this car up for $23,000, and honestly, you can find C6s for cheaper than that. For what you get, it's really I think that's a good deal. The car comes with 430 horsepower to the crank stock. Typically equates, if you put it on a dyno to the wheels, you're probably going to be running 375 to 385 horsepower-ish, somewhere in that range. Something you have to remember about the Corvette is the weight. So you can buy a Mustang with a lot more horsepower, and you're really not any better off at all, because you're literally 700 or 800 pounds heavier, so you have to make a ton more power to be at an even mark. So a 380 wheel horsepower Corvette can keep up with a lot more than what you think. And when you throw a cam in it, for cheap, by the way, aftermarket, it's super cheap on these cars. You can throw a cam in it, heads, intake, you know, simple bolt-ons. The car, you're gonna be pushing high 400s, maybe dipping into the 500 horsepower mark, and you really can take down a lot of fast cars. It's not going to be the fastest thing in the world, but again, you will be able to take down a lot of fast cars with it. Corvettes hold their own at lower horsepower levels than a lot of other cars just because of the weight. Another good thing about the car, in my opinion, is it's really fun to drive. So again, you know, this car's got a cam in it, but even in stock form, when I drove it, I mean, it's honestly a lot of fun. It's a very confidence-inspiring car. Even though it's not, mine's the base model, even though it's not a Z06 or a ZR1, the car will take corners. It really will. It drives like its own rails. I can only imagine what it feels like going around a corner in a ZR1 or something of that nature. But gears are always fun in the car. It accelerates super fast. It's very flickable. You can change directions quick. And then also, the car gets a lot of attention, honestly, and maybe it has to do with my cam, I don't know, but I'm always going up somewhere and somebody is always coming up to me and asking questions, and it's almost got to the point where I do enjoy it. But if you're in a hurry to get somewhere, like again, I do daily drive this car, so if you're in a hurry to get somewhere, somebody's always coming up asking questions. Sometimes it gets annoying, but at the end of the day, I'm a car guy. I do like talking cars. Another good thing about the car is the practicality. With that being said, yes, it is a two-seater. That's kind of the elephant in the room. It's not practical as far as that goes, but as far as space in the trunk, honestly, you can fit a lot of stuff in the back of these cars. For it being a two-seater, it has a big spot in the trunk, which is good. It's not going to be roomy like a truck, but honestly, I have plenty of room in here. Gas mileage for practicality, I mean, I guess if you're city driving, it's not all that great. Now in stock form, it's really not all that bad. I could get 18, 19 in the city, which I didn't think that was all that bad.
There's this car.
Yeah, we're gonna park over here. All right, so here's the stickers we got. You can kind of see them in the sun better than I showed them to you earlier. We got Trixie, Peace, and a sunflower. So we're trying to sneak up. He works on a Nissan dealership. You can see he's driving his daily, which is that Volvo there. I'll try and zoom in on it. So we're gonna go put these on his car. I don't think he's gonna see us, so we might not get his reaction, but if nothing else, it'll look funny on the back. Keep it on me. I'm trying to sneak up. Get out. Come over here in the video. Alright, so we actually made it over here and did it before the end of the video. So if you just saw that, hopefully it was somewhat funny. I don't know if you could hear it in the video, but he works at the Nissan dealership, and he was actually on a test drive when we were doing it, and he pulled back in with two old people test driving a Maxima when he saw us doing it, but he couldn't stop and say anything. So that's pretty funny. Really good things, reliability. Like, so we went all over all the bad things, and really nothing out of the bad category was to affect reliability of the car. Starter, sure. The gear scratching, yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of affects reliability, but not really engine-wise. And it's not like I can't go anywhere with a car. It's really not an issue unless I'm going hard. But yeah, so as far as reliability goes, I've got over 30,000 miles just on the cam, and I'm sure partly due to that's due to the tuning. I had it tuned at Aquadale Speedshop. It's out of Norwood. It's a guy named Adam. He's always done really good for me, and if I go to take anything else to have done, I'm most likely going to take it right back to him. I've had no issues out of it. The car's been tuned for going on, it'll be 2 years this fall. So it's been, over a year and a half. The car's been tuned, it hasn't been touched. So I've been very happy with that, especially with it being a daily driven car. It runs basically the day, just like the day I brought it home from getting tuned. All right, guys, I'm sure this is kind of a somewhat short review. It's nothing crazy in depth. I just kind of want to give my 2-year update on what's happening with the car. Future plans for the car. I do eventually want to turbo the car. I've been planning on boosting it for like forever, but with work and stuff not working out, like you hope it does sometimes, kind of delays things. But I'm still working on it. Hopefully it will be boosted by the end of the year. We'll see. My power goals for the car, I'm looking to make around 700 wheel on the stock bottom end. On pump gas around 12 psi, that range. I don't really want to go much higher than that at all, and the lower the better. So that's the goal. We'll see what happens. I still have a while before any of that stuff comes to fruition. But again, thank you guys for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you learned something or found something that might help you out in the future, also hit the like button, subscribe. We're on the way to 700 subscribers. And also, with that being said, when I hit 1,000, I'm going to do a giveaway. I'm most likely going to give away a GoPro. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to give away yet, though. But again, hit that subscribe button. Have a good